The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer of 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board meeting, August 24th, 2021.
I'd like to call this regular meeting of the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board to order. This is August the 24th, 2021, 4 p.m. Kyle, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Could you please announce everyone who's in the room, Kyle?
Absolutely. We have Ian Bullis, Brian Gonger, Judy, Rudy, Mackenzie, George, and remind me of your first name again one more time.
George.
No, I know you're George.
Sorry, Dawn Black.
Donna?
Dawn.
Dawn. And Dawn is here with Rudy to talk about the music festival.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Okay, we'll go ahead and we have a full board at this time. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to entertain public comment. And if you have public comment, is there anyone on the Zoom for public comment? Hearing none, let's go to the audience. Please come closer to the microphone.
Now, are we on the agenda? Or?
They're on the agenda.
Okay.
So that's you, George.
Okay. Thank you. Madam Chair, earlier this month, the County Commission held an informational meeting with the White Pine Water Pump Storage Project here at the Convention Center. There was a lack of microphones for those in the audience to be heard. A former director purchased at least 2 wireless microphones for $1,500 a piece that I'm aware of. Yet nothing was provided except for the speaker. The audience could not hear public questions asked or comments made. It's a good thing the speaker repeated the question, but we can't have that. This is a convention center. We have to respond a lot better than what we did. If nothing else, a central location microphone station should have been set up. Several members of this board were present, did not say or do anything. You're not leaving a good impression. This is not the first time that I brought this up, and I didn't want to embarrass anybody during the meeting, but next time I'm going to be a lot more vocal. I saw people struggling to hear people talk, and if it wasn't for the speaker repeating the question, it would have been for nothing. And there's a lot of interest in this project, both for and against. It's very important. Madam Chair, I'm again requesting a copy of the written report from the consultant that did the ski resort study. Again, I want to remind you the study was paid with room tax monies, not a private group or any individual. Madam Chair, I've yet to receive any information in regards to if the Tour and Rec Board members or any of the Tour and Rec Board members are on the Nevada Northern Railway Foundation Management Board. I want to remind you the request is months old. Madam Chair, I've yet to see any reports from those that have received monies through aid organization grants from the Tour and Rec Board. The reports are required so the tracking and progress can be evaluated and assessed. We're not doing that. Are the organizations failing to comply? Again, this makes the 5th time that I've made the request. If the organizations are not complying, all funding needs to be denied and stopped until compliance is made. Anybody can spend money. Not everybody can account for it. I want to remind you, this board has a fiduciary responsibility, and it appears you're failing. Madam Chair, at the City Council meeting held on August 12, 2021, the City Council gave a reduction of utilities for a property located at 790 Avenue I. The outstanding bill had not been paid for 7 years and amounted to $8,035.41. The owners paid a little over $4,000. Thanks to the graciousness of the City Council. I want to know if that property is on your Airbnb list. It seems like I've seen it somewhere before. I want to know if they have a room tax license from the Tour and Rec Board. I wanna know if they have a special use permit for that location. If they do, when did they obtain it? I wanna remind you folks, if a property doesn't pay all of its obligation, then it needs to be
That's
shut down.
3 minutes, thanks, George.
The owners have no business sitting on any boards regulating others.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you so much. Is there any more public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4, new business. Discussion and for possible action, approval of agenda, including removal of agenda items. Are there any removals or of the agenda items? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to approve the agenda as stated.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? Was that Ian?
That was.
I didn't hear who you said.
Oh, yeah, that was Ian.
Oh, okay. I thought it was his voice, so thank you. All right, all in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, discussion and for possible action, approval of minutes, July 27th, 2021. Are there any edits to these minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Thank you. Ian approved, moved for approval, Marietta seconded. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, discussion only. Review of financial report.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera around while I'm speaking. All right, can everybody hear me okay with the mask on? You want us to answer that?
Yes, thank you.
By your non-answer, I should talk louder. Okay, so the first one that we're gonna go over is going to be the room tax report by property, or at least broken down by hotel, motel, and parks and campgrounds. So you'll see the total amount of tax collected for the hotel motels was $232,465.92. There was a total of $20,778 collected from the RV parks and campgrounds, for a grand total of room tax collected of $253,243.92. That broke down as distribution for the golf course to the amount of $7,740.09. The city of Ely received $40,446.95. The railroad received $37,517.62, which allowed Tour and Rec to retain $160,504.71 towards the budget. Is there any questions about that one? You'll see, you'll see everybody was reporting, and there was no discrepancies in this last month. In the comparison of room tax between this time last year and where we were for the month of July this year, we were up 20.3% from where we were this time last year. So in July of 2021, it was a little over 210,000, 21-22, a little over 250,000. So for a year-to-date comparison, that's pretty good. For the budget report, still very early in the fiscal year, so a lot of the items, unless they were paid in full, like our insurances, the Main Street program, certain grants have asked for their reimbursements. We're actually, for the first time since I've been here, sitting at an operational surplus in the second month of the fiscal year. So if you recognize last month, we were at a negative 36,000, I believe, just because that's the norm. It usually takes about 3 or 4 months to dig out of that. But we're sitting right now at an operational surplus of $32,915.36. So that's a pretty good sign right there. Certainly leaves us some room to go ahead and do some fall marketing as the summer season ends, and we kind of need to fill that gap between the holidays and fire and ice in January. Is there any questions about the financial report? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. On D then, discussion and for possible action to ratify the bills. And I want to disclose that I have an interest in Bath Lumber. So I will be abstaining on that agenda item, which is item E. So looking at the checks of payables, are there any questions on these? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to ratify the bills.
And I'd like to make a motion that pay checks 104.56 through 105.02 in the amount of $168,490.99 less the Bath Lumber bill.
Moved by Marietta, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, was that, Ian?
That was Ian.
Okay, thank you very much, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Item E, discussion and for possible action, approval to pay bill to Bath Lumber.
Make a motion
Madam Chair,
to pay that Bath Lumber bill in the amount of $809.91.
I'll second
I'll second that motion.
And moved by Ian and seconded by Marietta for the payment of the Bath Lumber bill in the amount of $809.91. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I will abstain. Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead with item F, presentation by Rudy Herndon on the Shell Razor Music Festival.
Would you like me to come forward?
So yeah, come on up, we'll turn the mic on you.
Well, welcome, Rudy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, we're just so glad you could be here and really excited about this wonderful event you planned.
Oh, well, thank you, and I'm so excited, and as I was telling Kyle a few minutes ago, when I'm excited, I either tend to ramble or speak very quickly. So please don't hesitate to jump in and tell me to be quiet and or backtrack if I skip over anything. Anyway, I'd like to introduce my event planner, Dawn Black.
Hello.
And
Welcome.
Dawn is actually involved in they're going into their 6th annual event next year. She helps organize a music festival in southern Utah. And so she and her husband and another partner came on board to help me organize my festival.
Yeah, so that's why I'm here today. I wanted to get in touch with you guys and of course come before you. I've been doing a music festival for 5 years. I didn't know what I was getting into, but where I was from, they didn't have anything like that, and no one knew the little town I was from. And it's basically the backside of Zion, Utah. Beautiful, beautiful mountains and canyons and hiking and stuff that people have not been introduced to. So we started the music festival 5 years ago. We're going our 6th year. And it has brought in anywhere from 900 people all the way to over 3,000 people. The last couple of years was about 900 to 1,000. We did 2020 in September because we had to postpone it. But it was still a great success. And we have people coming back every year. I've gotten grants from Southern Utah, Tourism Board, Washington County anyway, for marketing. And I would like to ask you guys to consider granting whatever, because Rudy has told me his vision of this, and it's kind of the same thing that I did out there. I put my time and effort and money in the beginning. It was a free event, and then we started charging. But he's got 4 days, and he's already invested, he honestly hasn't told me, but I would say he's already got a $350,000 production going on right now. He may not make anything profit back, but he's doing it for the railroad. It's gonna be an annual event. He's got camping being excavated off-site so that he can make more accommodations, because from my understanding, there's less than 1,000, rooms here in Ely. And we want that many people here every day for 4 days. So if we can get that here and get the support of the tourism board, it's the best marketing you can ever get. Can't even tell you, there's people that have been moving into the town that we did the festival at that had never been there. And just me coming here and meeting Rudy, I was like, what's McGill, Nevada? And what's the Nevada Northern Railroad? When he got in touch with me, I didn't know anything about it, and I'm just intrigued, like, you guys have such a big gem out here, and you need to bring people out here to see it once a year, and then they'll talk about it. And so if we can get the support in ways of grants and publication, and get on your event calendar, and just basically spreading the word, because in the long run, we wanna also get volunteers. It really, it makes a morale in the community when people volunteer their time. You know what I mean? We're gonna give them a free ticket, they'll donate 3 hours a day for 4 days. And it's a $200 ticket for 4 days, they'll probably get a t-shirt, depends on what Rudy decides he can afford. But the volunteers, there's a lot of money already spent, but it's important to have volunteers to keep an event like this going, the morale, the excitement, and people feel like they did something, and they show up every year. I have a list of over 60 volunteers that have helped us in the last 5 years, some of them every year, some of them just 1 year. So, and then you change the dynamics of the community, because people are okay with having fun and keeping it safe, and you go through the right channels to make it safe. And you have EMS there, which is another thing you guys could consider granting EMS service, because that costs. There's a lot, you guys probably could think of, I could think of tons of costs that you guys could help out with if you can do a grant for that. Just spreading the word, that's how volunteers help out. Somebody, sets the example and says, hey, I'm gonna volunteer for this event, and they're like, just like he said, there's people against the project here, and there's people for it. There's always people for and against everything you do. And so if you, do it right and make sure people are talking about it in a good way, because everyone has fun, then it's a successful event. So it's definitely something the board needs to support for it to work out. We've talked to NDOT today, and we have a pretty good plan with them, with the highway in McGill, and some permits that we're getting done, and we're finding out what permits we need, and kind of learning along the way, so.
Yes, and I'll go into a little more detail about the logistics, and again, feel free to jump in at any time, cut me short. But wanted to just give you an overview of how this festival came into being. And so as Caroline knows, I'm working on a number of projects in McGill. Started off with the restoration of the McGill Oddfellows Hall. I'm in the process of turning that into a coffee house meeting hall. It's 2 levels, so we'll have a coffee house downstairs and a meeting hall upstairs. Also bought the McGill Theater across the street. Started to make some improvements to the exterior, although that project is kind of on the back burner now because there have been some delays with the Oddfellows project. But I'm also developing a private campground off the Bassett Lake Road north of McGill, and that's on an 80-acre site. I hate the term, but it's kind of trendy nowadays, a glamour campground.
Glamping.
So we'll have a combination of yurts and great big canvas tents available for rent. Some of those will be furnished. The plan is to be open for the entire visitor season, maybe push that out if we can to about 7 or 8 months a year. And I'm really excited about that project in particular because it would basically offer the only lodging option that I'm aware of in northern, or I shouldn't say northern White Pine County, but north of Ely in White Pine County. And so it's really the first thing that people will see as they're coming toward McGill from Wells or Wendover. I'm working with, my general contractor is Sean Wilson. You're very familiar with him, I'm sure. And he's also working on the Oddfellows project and working with Jim Assuris as well, building some roads on what was just 80 acres of sagebrush. and they're putting in, campsites as well, and, recently bought some water rights for the property, so over time we'll be, landscaping it and putting in some additional infrastructure. In the future, looking at, possibly some tiny homes, if we can get, some sort of, either exemption, from county code, or possibly work with the Regional Planning Commission, to, get the county code changed to allow more of these, tiny homes, well, in my case, my property, campground property is zoned for heavy industrial use, which is just sort of all encompassing. It allows for the private campground and, a commercial greenhouse that I hope to, open on the property for the Oddfellows, Coffee House. And finally, the plan is to reclaim our gravel pit on the campground property and put in an outdoor amphitheater there, and eventually host, live music and other events there. But backing up, working on all these projects in McGill, and I found out what Mark Bassett and the Nevada Northern Railway and that whole team had planned for the McGill Depot and the tracks between Ely and McGill. And just talking to Mark, reading the Railway's newsletter, just really exciting. I think that the vision that they have for that property is incredible. I think it'll really bolster tourism throughout White Pine County. And if I'm sure you're familiar with Mark's vision, but he's applied for something like $19 million in grant funding for these various projects, including the restoration of those railway tracks, which would include plans for a multi-use pathway between Ely and McGill, something I'm incredibly excited about. So long story short, was thinking about ways that I could help support the railway. I'm already a sustaining member, and wanted to do something at the same time that would be fun for the community, because over the years, heard a lot of people come up with these ideas, and there was never really any follow through on them. So I came up with this idea of a music festival fundraiser for the railway. And yeah, earlier this year, made my first donation, which helped the restoration of Locomotive 40, and really excited about that, and hoping that if we can get the word out about the festival, can raise more money for other railway projects, including the projects in McGill. And just looking at community impact, already donated 100 free tickets to residents in McGill and Ely. And those have an advance value of $5,000, day of sale value of $7,000. And you know, looking at other ways to support the community, long-term vision with the Oddfellows project and the McGill Theater project, the campground. Yes.
Hang on, Rudy. We need you to stay on the topic of where, what is the agenda item.
Oh, sure.
And so we need you to stick to the shell raiser on this, the way it's agendized.
Okay.
You know, sometime we would really enjoy having you talk about your vision in McGill, but we have to put it in the agenda correctly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's just the background explaining why I'm doing the festival. And so it's set for 4 days, first weekend next June. We have 31 bands lined up. They're mostly national touring acts. And trying to think,
We'll
well,
have food trucks.
food trucks,
We're shooting
vendors.
for 30 to 40 vendors.
Oh,
That includes the food trucks too.
sounds like a great event.
Um,
I wish there was about 1,000 more people like you living in this county.
Then
Well-
you'd have 3
So-
music festivals.
The festivals.
It takes
Yeah,
quite a bit
I'd like to
put
go
these all
around.
this together, so.
Okay, I'd like to, just have the board members in, so that each board member has a chance, and Kyle too, to ask questions. And so, it's okay, I'm gonna start. And, one question I have, Dawn, is what is the community that your successful, music festival is held in?
It's held in Hilldale, Utah. And it's called Colorado
Say that
City.
again?
It's in Hilldale, Utah.
Hildale?
Hilldale?
Hilldale, Utah. Mhm.
Okay, and what is it called?
It's called Colorado City Music Festival.
Okay, thank you, because I'd sure like to look it up. And then I would like to request, for your consideration, that perhaps you can submit a list of ways that White Pine County Tourism and Recreation, specific list of how we can support you, Rudy and Dawn. And it, the more specific it is, the better off we're going to be, because we're not great mind readers. But, it just, what you've got is we know this will be the third time is the charm. And
Hope so, yeah.
we certainly, yes, exactly, and we certainly appreciate everything you've done. Okay, let me move to another board member. Marietta, do you have any questions or comments? You're on mute, Marietta. Marietta, you're on mute.
Thank you for your presentation. Question, what kind of attendance numbers do you get in this festival in Utah?
We've had as low as 900 in 2020, that was COVID year, that's why we say that was our worst year, but in 2019, we had over 3,000. And it's just a 1-day event there, it's not a 4-day event, but a 4-day event makes more sense out here, because people are gonna come and spend the night anyway, so bring them for a few days so they can get to know the place.
Great. So it sounds like one of the things that you're gonna ask for some itineraries too. So, okay, Ian, do you have some questions or comments?
No, it sounds like you guys are knowing what you're doing as well as anybody can. I have a background in
I thought you were gonna say, can I
that
volunteer
kind of
first?
stuff. I probably will, to be honest with you. I don't know if you guys know, but that's my jam is the music business, so. In fact, before you leave, I'd love to talk to you a little more about that, so.
Brian,
I'm just looking, I've seen it in the past, when we were trying to do it last year, and I thought the roster was awesome, and I was like, wow, that'll be amazing to get that many bands here. And just the numbers talking alone, I'm sure you would qualify instantly in that top tier of Kyle marketing for you, which is a huge help. And I can't see why we wouldn't all get that behind a event that big anyway. It would be one of our bigger events.
That's the goal, yes.
Yeah, so I don't see.
And if I could just interject quickly, one reason why I wanted to come before the board now is because, thank you. There has been some confusion about the dates. I've now had to postpone this event twice. This past June, when the postponed dates were set to go forward, if that makes sense, even like the day of the event, there was still quite a bit of confusion on social media. Is the McGill Music Festival still happening today? And I saw that, and I saw other people talking about a festival at the McGill Pool Park. And so I started to freak out. I called Courtney Thornall at the maintenance department office and said, are you aware of any other festival at the McGill Pool Park? And my thought was people aren't aware of the new dates yet. They're still under the assumption that the June 2020 dates were on. But yeah, Courtney clarified, as far as we know, this is just social media chatter. And so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the board and the community are aware that this has been postponed for a third time, and at this point, we're committed to the June 2021 dates. Really hoping, yes, I certainly hope so, because it's putting an event, of this size together for the first time. It's challenging, and to have to do it basically 3 times, it's rather stressful.
More
and,
challenging.
More challenging.
Well, and I had counseled him, on the year, I told him this year, it was way too close, and the mandates in Nevada